Keith here again. Today we're going to program our SparkMax speed controls to work with the kill switch that is on your robot. We're going to start at the website, revrobotics.com, and I'll put a link in the description to the direct download for the file. But if you forget this and you need to find it, the best way I've found is if you go under this Rev Ion heading and click on Brushless, and then click on SparkMax, and then scroll down, and you will see right here a little link for Rev Hardware Client. That is the piece of software that we want. So we're going to click on that, and it takes us to the download page. We're going to click again, and saw a little icon go up there. It is going to download, and I'll join you again once this file is downloaded. Our file is downloaded, and I have placed it on the desktop to make it easy to find. I'm going to double click the install file. It's going to ask me to approve the installation. It's going to ask me where I want to put it. I'm just going to put it where it recommends. And once this is done, I'll join you again and we'll run through the software. Okay, the installation is now finished. You may have to say yes to a couple of other steps on your particular install. Mine had been installed before, so it already had those approvals. You'll end up at this screen where you can click Finish and run the REV hardware client. We're going to do that. And you'll end up at this screen where it's searching for hardware. Now at this point, I will warn you that Rev Robotics is a relatively small company, and this piece of software has a small development team, I imagine, because it doesn't work as smoothly as you would hope. Sometimes you have to restart the software, sometimes you have to disconnect and reconnect the speed control. So what I like to do at this point is go down in my taskbar and go ahead and pin this software in the taskbar to make it easy to restart it if I have to get out of it. Once my software is installed and running, I need to connect the speed control to the computer, and I'm going to do that using the orange USB cable that came with the controller. I'm going to take the big end and plug it into a USB port on my computer. I'm going to take the small end, the USB-C end, and I'm going to plug it into the USB-C port on the speed control, the SparkMax speed control, and you'll get some lighting. You'll hear some beeps. We're going to see devices being set up. And then, if you're still at this screen with no hardware detected, what you can do is go down here at the bottom left and scan for devices, encounter an error while refreshing devices. This is common and typical, so I'm going to turn off the software, restart the software. It's going to pop up, and this is what I want to see. I've got SparkMax USB, and I have a little exclamation point. Sometimes it pops up without the exclamation point on a brand new speed control. If it does, you need to disconnect or reconnect or restart the software. And you may, with this being a relatively small development team on this software, I think they've got some bugs. So just realize that if it's not doing what you want it to do, you may have to disconnect and reconnect or restart the software. You may have to do that several times to get to the screen you want, but you will eventually get there. So once we have the exclamation point, click on that and it takes us to the firmware update page. This is the only thing we can do right off the bat. And so I'm going to click on update. It's going to download the software, write it to the speed control, and put us on the latest version. Once this is done, and it only takes a few seconds, we will either get kicked back to a screen where we can go in and do further programming, or it might get stuck where we have to disconnect, reconnect, and restart the software again. In this case, it kicked me back properly. I see SparkMax controller and CAN bus in this configuration. If your screen doesn't look like that, it likely means you need to disconnect and reconnect or restart the software. I'm going to click on SparkMax controller on the top, and right off the bat I see a big red exclamation mark that says not configured for CAN ID. We don't actually use this feature, but we do need to give it a value, so I'm going to put a value of 1 in there for CAN ID. Second thing I'm going to do, right here under Smart Current Limit, our speed control will attempt to put 80 amps of current into our motor, but our motor only would like to see a maximum of 40 amps, so we're going to drop that to 40 and try to keep our motors protected. Next thing we're going to do, and this is for the drive motors only, right down here under limit switch, we can see that we have a hard forward limit enabled and a hard reverse limit enabled. And both of those right now are normally open. And what that means is, as long as there is not a switch pressed, the speed controller thinks that everything is okay and everything's going to operate normally. Well, we want to change that because we're putting a kill switch in the system. And so we're going to change our hard forward limit to normally closed. And so now the speed control is looking for a closed switch in order to operate normally. So if a switch opens up, that's what makes our kill switch work. Now, obviously, this means you can program the kill switch out of the system. We're going to be looking for that in the competitions. The other teams are going to be looking for that in the competitions, and it's going to be a big foul if we catch you doing that. So this is how your programming needs to be set up for both of your drive motor speed controls. Once everything is set in this exact configuration, and I'll take a screenshot at the end and include that with the email that I send you, we're just going to go down here to the bottom of the screen where it says Burn Flash. Click on that. It's going to say, are you sure? Yes, we are. It's going to write it. We're going to get a little green notice at the top saying Burn Configuration. Now we're done. We hit the little blue X, and we can disconnect it, and we can program the next speed control. The only difference between programming for a drive motor speed control and a weapon motor speed control is going to be that we leave the forward limit and reverse limit open for the weapon speed control because we're not going to put a kill switch in the loop with those. So hope that helped. Reach out to me with any questions.